the aha moment was like, I don't know that I can do this much longer. That was it. Like, it was like, I've either got to fix this, right? And guess where that mindset came from? The fire service.
Well, welcome to the 2448. I am so glad to have you, Russell from West Broad Apparel.
All right.
Tell me what the heck it is you guys do.
Dude.
You didn't do your research on high-vis. I didn't do my reach on you. So we're two strangers. We're going to learn about each other today.
That's how you create a podcast. Hey. Now we get to talk about what we do for one. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
But yeah, no, man, 4 years ago, this is our 4th year in business. Listen, I'm still a full-time fireman. You were obviously. Like, most of us firemen, we're out there trying to find some kind of side gig. And I just didn't want to be another fireman that cut grass. There is nothing wrong with cutting grass. Let me go ahead and speak that loudly in the mic. I wanted something just different, man. Like I knew I'd kind of gotten shown the entrepreneurial spirit, if you will. And I was like, man, I think I could run a business.
So what do you guys actually do? What's your business?
Yeah, so we take the idea was born out of a koozie that was gifted to me. It was a koozie made out of hose, and I was looking at it. They just wrote our unit number on it with a Sharpie, and I was like, this could be so much better. And dude, 3 days later, I told my wife, get in the car. We're going to buy an embroidery machine. Went and bought a $500 embroidery machine, bro. No kidding. Way. Taught myself how to do it, and the hose hat was born.
The hose hat? Is that what this is?
Hose hat, yeah. That's what we got on our heads, bro. Yeah, you got some hose on your head, bro.
That is awesome. Yeah. So you guys do, this is a product, apparel product.
Absolutely.
And this is made out of fire hose.
Yeah. So the dream was initially like, I didn't know what the dream was initially. I just knew like maybe I had something, right? Like, yeah. I took my unit number, I made a patch. My buddies used to call it Arts and Crafts Day back in the day. They used to tell me I put them together with Elmer's glue, but I would like stitch it out on the hose. I would literally cut them out with like this little rotary saw I bought, like just trying to formulate like what can this be. Obviously, I took the passport that goes on the front of our shields. And there's tons of passport hats out there, but I was just like, I want to be different, right?
That's cool.
And so it was born, man. And then, it just kind of caught on. I took it to my buddies a couple times. I literally walked it in like 2 weeks later after we got those koozies, and I set it on the table, and I was like, firemen are going to be honest, right?
Oh, yeah.
I set it on the table, and I was like, all right, assholes, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And dude, it was.
I'm sure they told you exactly what
I got called an idiot at one point, I think. One of the guys was like, I don't know. And then I had thankfully, the majority was like, I want one, man. Like, I want one. Go home and make me one. And so it was born, bro.
So it was just a random idea. Like you just kind of.
Yeah, pretty much, man. It was just like up here. And
that's cool.
Just, I had the idea, thought I could make it work, and knew nothing. I shouldn't say I knew nothing about business. I had done things like I sold insurance for a while. I even sold cars for a while.
Really?
Yeah, it was like I was into everything, bro. Like I'd been through like 8 part-time gigs because
so funny.
I would get in there and I would realize, like, for instance, one of the jobs I had was driving a dump truck, and this dude was paying me like it was like $14 an hour, decent money on the side, whatever. But the customers, every time I would deliver a load, they'd hand me the receipt, and I'd see it, and I'm like, bruh, this dude's making this kind of money, off of me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, heck no, hell to the nah. Like, we gotta fix this. So there again, I was like, I know I can do this. I just got to figure it out. I don't have an MBA, didn't go to college, and
so what's your background? You're a fireman somewhere to start?
Fireman, dude. Like, went to high school. After high school, I did go to college. Certificate program for auto body. I thought my life was going to be revolving around like motorcycles and cars. I grew up racing dirt bikes and like,
that's cool.
Just an adrenaline junkie, which is what attracted me to the fire service. And just after college, man, I had a buddy that was volunteering. I didn't really know much about fire service. I don't have any family in the fire service.
Really?
No, I don't come from it. Not cut from that cloth. And but I had a buddy that was doing it, and he was like, man, you should come volunteer. It's just a boys club. We just hang out and smoke cigars and run cool ass calls. And
where was that?
So that was in Mayo, which is in Spartanburg County.
In South Carolina.
Yeah, it's called Mayo. That's some redneck stuff, right? Cool place though, man. It's small town vibe. But I learned like you could get paid to do it. I'm like, wait a minute. you can get paid to go hang out with dudes for 24 hours, and like it's just you're busting each other's balls all day, and like
professional boys club.
Which, by the way, is this PG?
No.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, it's good.
And so yeah, I was just like, I got to figure out how to do, like, I want to do this for a living, you know? Awesome, obviously then I wasn't thinking about like, okay, they don't really make a lot of money.
Wow, you know.
But so, and that leads into what I'm trying to do for the fire service is like, what I didn't know then is like, yeah, there's a huge stigma of like firemen are broke. Nah, we can eradicate that, bro. I'm telling you, we can. And it's such a beautiful setup. And I'll talk about that later. But anyway, I got into it. I moved back to Greenville, where I was originally from, and then started volunteering at Belmont, and then took the plunge, quit my job, went to Fire Academy.
No way.
Come back, got hired. And then my bucket list, bro, was to work at the city of Greenville, because I grew up in Greenville.
Yeah.
I've watched Greenville grow my whole life, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's turned into something massive. I remember when there was none of the stuff out there. So long story short though, but it was the mecca, in my opinion, of the fire department place to work. Yeah. And I was like, I can do that. Like I can go out there and work at the city. Like
Is that where you work now?
I don't now.
Yeah.
So I did work out there for 8 years.
Oh, no way.
At the city, yeah.
That's awesome.
Made it, man. Had just the time of my life, bro. I met my original business partner out there.
That's awesome.
And if I hadn't worked at the city, West Broad wouldn't have been a thing. I firmly believe that. But after 8 years, I left to actually go run the business full time.
No way.
I was like, I don't want to 20 years from now wake up and go, man, I wish I'd have tried running the business full time. You know, what could it have been?
Yeah. Well, I want to dive into that, but I want to start with
the
Fire Academy, because I feel like when if this business is forged in the blood of the fire service, you've been around that kitchen table, you brought your stuff to people. What was it like, when you started? I mean, going from motorcycles to Fire Academy, like, were people like, yeah, come on in, no problem?
Dude, it was. I needed it in my life at the time, right? Like I was a little dirtbag, bro. Like I was just, I don't really know how to explain it, but I hadn't had, I got great parents. Don't get me wrong. That's no fault of them, but I chose different paths and gotten away from like trying to be around successful people or what I now consider successful people.
Yeah.
And do one first week at Fire Academy, you got somebody yelling down your throat and like, and you're like, I'm like, man, my own father hadn't even talked to me like this. Like what the?
Yeah.
And culture shock,
dude.
Huge culture shock. But bro, that like when you're getting broke down like that, you know what I'm saying? Like to some of your lowest, what you feel like your lowest levels, is when you find who you really are. Like, what kind of drive you got, the tenacity you got, the like, and bro, in the fire service, it can be life or it's not every day, but it can be life or death in moments.
Yeah.
You got to be able to think on your toes. You got to be able to. And man, I'm going through the ringer at Fire Academy. Like this is hard. This wasn't just a boys club that I was, sold on.
I was in the professional water skiing industry. I wasn't that good at it, but before I got into this, I was a ski jumper.
Okay.
And my wife and I met doing that. And the funny thing is, so she was a tour driver, like in Australia, and her family was all skiing, so they would come over here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then I was skiing at this place down in North Carolina, and I was training back and forth, and we hit it off, whatever. But I was same thing, like fully adrenaline junkie, love it. And then I started the business in the bays, like in a maintenance shop behind the
and you were going to be BFFs, bro.
So I was like, let's go to the Fire Academy. I'll start doing this stuff. And there's a whole story. I'll tell you sometime. There's a whole story on why I got in the fire service. But dude, when I first time the alarm went off and I'd go sailing down the road looking at a column of smoke, I was like, oh hell yeah, man, this is definitely where I'm meant to be. And it's funny because I remember going from the water ski world, like you hang out, it's a great time, it's super cruisy.
Sure.
And then go to the Fire Academy, and I got there on time one day.
Yeah.
Class started at 9. I was there at 9. Let me tell you what, 9 is not acceptable. And I got my ass chewed. It's like early's on time's late.
100%.
And late's not acceptable. Yeah. So get the hell out in the parking lot. Wait for me till lunch.
I now hate being late because of that one rule. Dude.
Yeah. And it's like, but you do, like, you get your ass chewed a few times, and all of a sudden it builds some character. And it's like, okay, my skin's got to be a little thicker, and I got to be a little more diligent.
Yeah. And then as you grow, like, throughout the years, you learn, like, why are they so hard on being on time, right? And, like, then you start to learn, like, people who are late, typically are hard to rely on. And like, and it's just, it formulates you into, dude, in my opinion, a better person.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Talking about like, how long were you in the fire service?
I'm still volunteer local.
Okay.
So 10 years, September 11th, 2011 is when I joined.
Is it not crazy to think back? So I know you can probably remember your first fire like it was yesterday. And you're
absolutely. Oh yeah.
And now you think back on like, I had one a couple weeks ago, and it's still, you still get the adrenaline, but now you're thinking like, all right, I know what I got to do.
Oh, you got the whole,
like it's boom, boom,
I remember
bro.
like, you know, I like the ambulance, which call me crazy, but I like the ambulance a lot more than the fire truck. I know, crazy. But I remember the first cardiac arrest I ran, and the first one was actually a terrible one, but second, third one, whatever. The first couple, man, you're like shitting Twinkies, like, oh my God. And now it's like, all right, grab this, grab that. And you just work through your checklist. You're methodical. You're thinking. Your eyes are wide open. And same thing with like a major structure fire. It's like, all right, well, I know I got to have water supply. I know we got to have crew resources.
No doubt. No doubt.
The adrenaline's still high.
It is. And cardiac arrest, like I'll tell you a crazy one on that, because you're right. You're trying to do all these things. Now you involve, we got a Lucas.
Oh, yeah, we do too.
And so, dude, it's the first time in my career you set the Lucas up.
Press start and then
there's 5 people in there. And, dude, there was literally a point where you get to, like, I know we're supposed to be doing something, but.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're watching the monitor. You're running through your drug checklist.
You can't do no more. Yeah. And you're like, bro.
Make sure your respiration. And with capnography, too, you're like, I don't have to worry, am I breathing good? I'm just watching the monitor. I'm
Game
like,
changer.
Bingo. Yeah.
Anybody out there listening who is against the Lucas, when I went back to Belmont, which is the county department I'm in now, I went from city to county. We had the Lucas, and dude, I come in and I'm like, bro, I ain't using that stupid thing. Like, you're crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you. First year back, had 3 cardiac arrests. We got a pulse back on all 3 of them.
No way.
And I've been doing this for 13 years, and I think I've got like 2 resuscitation awards, like where somebody actually. Dude, 3 because of that stupid thing. I will put it up against anything out there, bro. Like,
that's so cool.
If your department doesn't have it, figure out how to get it, bro. It's crazy.
That's all. I love it, man. I think that's it's funny because it's technology, right? And like,
it is.
The fire service is historically so resistant to technology,
bro. Technology. We just talked about AI the whole way up here, bro.
Yeah,
like we can go down a whole nother. We need to do another podcast on just that.
We should. I'm all about it.
Yeah, dude. Oh,
that's awesome. But so, all right. So you were in the academy. You started getting broke down. Tell me about like when did your academy life transition into? Was it just for volunteer world, or did you want to do it for?
So the goal was to do it full time, right? Thankfully, when I got back from fire academy, ours was 8 weeks at the time. Correction, I think it was 13 weeks at the time. I get back, and actually, my old job like hired me back. You know,
really?
Because I didn't have a.
So the goal was just like, let me get certified. So
I had to have the certificates then, and then, which hasn't been that long ago, 13 years ago, you know, fire department jobs weren't as easy to get as they are now. Now they'll hire, you know, if you're walking down the street,
well, you can hear the pager, 100%. You got driver's license, mostly? All right.
Yeah, you can you're a walk-on anywhere now. But, so I come back, and the goal was to do it, and they knew that. The job, it was actually for a John Deere. I used to deliver tractors and stuff like that. It was a cool gig, but they knew, like, hey, I'm looking. And so, about a year or so after that, I ended up getting hired full-time, and then it all began from there, man.
What was it about being a fireman that was so cool?
Just, man, I don't know. I don't want to be cliche, but like I know, and I knew then, like I was put on this earth to just help people somehow, you know, like, and bro, just I mean the gratification from like, and listen, we see people on the worst days of their lives. I mean. Yeah. Whether it's they've lost everything they own, they lost a loved one, and you're that barrier, bro. Like I get so ticked off, man, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like I'm an advocate of hitting it hard from the yard, and I'll tell you why. Because it kills me, bro, when I see the selfies in the front yard of somebody that just lost everything they own, dude. They lost it all.
Yeah,
and you want to take a selfie, dude? Like, oh, we just slayed the dragon. Bro, no, you should be over there at homeowner, make sure they don't need anything. Have you called Red Cross yet? Have you called their family? Like,
that's very true.
Dude, so, like, I know hitting it hard from the yard gets a bad rep, but, bro, I'm here for them. Like, and, dude, they're raising money like crazy for stuff. And, like, Clem, you my boy, dude. I hope you see this. Like, keep doing what you're doing, because I'll put it out there, whatever. But that's me. Like I want to be able to change somebody's outcome of their day.
I used to hate on medicals where we go to a major medical event, and especially like if someone died, you get there and they're like, they've been dead for a month, but you get there and you're like, oh shit, okay, I'm going to do the show.
Yeah.
But like the family's like, what am I? And they're looking at you and you're like, it's like, that guy's super dead. But I'm your rock at this point. So it's you got to flip to either, am I doing a show? Am I doing customer service, which is taking care of the family? Or am I managing my resources and keeping the guys out?
Right.
But what used to drive me crazy is we'd work a cardiac arrest. And where I came from, it was like work to cessation always.
Yeah.
And so we didn't transport because we were like 45 minutes to the hospital.
Yeah.
We'd work, we'd call it. And then like the guys would be in the yard cutting up and telling jokes and whatever.
Yeah.
And it used to drive me crazy when I'd be inside and I'd hear the guys like screwing around. I'm trying to tell some family member. Yeah. And they're like, you know, you two were driving.
One of the coolest things I remember early on in my career, man, it was one of my first cardiac arrests, and the guy didn't make it. Family, they weren't hysterical, but because they could sense like this was coming, but like, you know, they had to be told like we couldn't do it anymore. And I'll never forget it, bro. You know, forget religion, like we ain't getting into that topic, but he literally went to the next of kin who was in there and was like, hey, can I pray with you guys? Just like that, bro. And I mean, it gave me chills. I was like, that, you know, because that was his thought. Like, let me just try to help these people in this moment. I know they got grief coming because everybody's got to go through that, but like, and you could just see it. They were just like, and like they grabbed onto my captain, bro, and I just like I get chills thinking about it. And for me, that's why I got in the service.
That's really cool.
That moments like that is why I got in it. It wasn't really just to help others. Like, you know, everybody wants to.
Well, because sometimes helping someone's more than just put their fire out or thumping on their chest. 100%. Like sometimes it's help the family after you've done everything you can. You can't do anything else.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at right now in life with business, bro. I'm telling you, I know we're gonna get into it, but like, I'm a firm believer in. Firemen have the best job in the world, not because of that gratification, but because of the setup and the opportunities that we can line up for ourselves, dude. It's out of this world. You just got to tap into it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about the transition from you're fighting fire full time. It sounds like an awesome career. Like working in the city, that's your dream job.
Love it. Yep.
Where did the idea? Someone brought you a hose?
Yeah. So we it was Christmas time, and captain of our shift, you know, he got us some gifts. I actually learned this about a year or so back. When I tell the story, I tell like whoever he bought the hose koozies from just wrote our number. Well, lo and behold, it was our captain in the office right now. So I've been telling the story like, man, he got ripped up. But anyway,
it was him writing your number.
Yeah, I felt so bad. So I have to plug that, right? So
funny.
He gives us these koozies, and I'm looking at it, and the dude that was sitting in the day room beside me that I was telling this to ended up being one of my first employees.
Oh, really?
It's so cool, bro.
That's awesome.
And I looked up to this dude. Like, this dude was like who I wanted to be in the fire service.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Pete. Pete, if you're watching, you're my man, Eric Eubanks. But long story short, I'm looking at it, and I was just like, this could be so much better, you know? And so I pulled my captain to the side later that night, and I was like, look, Cap, you ain't got to tell me. It's just a little bit of research, but like, how much did you give for these things? And he looked me in the eye, and he went, $30. You and I both know that we throw fire hose away every day.
Every other week.
Exactly. Like it gets busted all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh.
It's like printing money.
Yeah. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
And then literally a guy that was on my shift was there. He had a beanie on that had the passport design he had made. As a matter of fact, Axe Head Threads, my boys, they had made it for him. And I saw the design and I was like, bro, I could make that into a patch. You know, like
out of a piece of hose.
Yeah. I want it to be different because I don't want to step on anybody's toes in the fire service business. Like, there's plenty of guys. Elite Fire Apparel makes a passport hat. Axe Head Threads, and I get messages all the time like, they're stealing your idea, and I'm like, no, that's a shared design.
Everyone's doing it,
right? Nobody's mad at anybody. You know, mine is with hose, and nobody's tried to step on my toes with that.
That's good.
But anyway, I kind of went to the drawing board just to make it look. I wanted it to look different from what was on his head because again, we didn't want to step on anybody's toes. Figured out how to embroider. I'm a man that embroiders. It's not sewing. It is not sewing, okay?
You know, early on, my wife and I made all of our own shirts. We used to go to this like lease.
Does she embroider?
Well, we did it. So there's this place called Tech Shop. They're out of business now. But you used to go and you pay by the hour. You could use their machines.
Yeah.
And so we'd go up there and we'd make. So we learned how to embroider, how to figure out how to take a DXF file or a vector file and convert it into a GIF file, something. We had to do this thing. And then we had to figure out like, okay, which threads, which backing, all this stuff. Yeah. And we used to make our shirts. Our names were always crooked. Yeah. Like, we were so bad at it. But I met a guy along the way that he ran CNC machines. That was his business, and he even told me, he was like, bro, those embroidery machines, like learning how to digitize and stuff, is more sophisticated than what we do on a CNC way
machine.
More. Yeah, you just draw. I mean, CNC you draw it up and it's exact. Yeah,
and
embroidery
and we have a laser, right? We do leather work, and it's simple. Like, send me a JPEG, I can make what
done.
Nah, dude, they're so like the embroidery world, man. Like I know enough to get me in trouble, and I learned 2 years in. I met a lady. She was a professor at Clemson. Walked off the job, bought about $250,000 worth of embroidery equipment, and just went at it, bro. And I met her along the way, and dude, she took me right here, bro. She took me in, let me come play with her, taught me everything I know about embroidery I learned from that lady. And she didn't have to do that.
Really?
And dude,
how did you guys hook up? Like, where'd you meet her?
I was selling a sewing machine, like early, because in the early days I wanted to move from heat pressing the patches on to sewing, so I bought a what they call a post bed sewing machine, which is for hats.
Yeah.
And tried my hand at it, and it was just annoying. I hated it.
And you were doing leather at the time, or still the hoses?
Both. I was trying out both, and which kind of led into the business. I started this in a bedroom in my house. So I literally just like had this bedroom set up, and I had the sewing machine in there. Love that. And even my wife used to call it arts and crafts time. And I'll never forget the first day West Broad started paying our mortgage. I was like, yeah, arts and crafts are paying the mortgage.
Yeah,
now.
hello.
Yeah. But anyway, awesome. So I had sewing machine. I had to sell it, and that's how I met her. She came and bought it, and it was my first big job I had landed. It was doing hats for the Greenville Triumph, which is the soccer team.
Oh, really?
In Greenville, yeah.
So this isn't just sold to firemen.
No, I took on other jobs trying to get into other avenues, but I still try to cater to firemen, right? Like sure. Like if you're a fireman out there and you've got a business, like good, I can turn your logo into hat. I can turn it into swag for you, like but we've done other things. I do stuff for breweries all the time.
Oh, no way.
Fireforge Brewery, I do a lot with them. They work with us because Fireforge hose.
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
But yeah, so she came and bought that, took me under her wing, and just taught me the world of embroidery, man.
Did you just ask her, like, hey, like, what?
She saw me stressing. I had one machine at the time. I'd upgraded my $500 machine to a commercial. I lucked up and found one for like $5,000, an embroidery machine, and I had it set
What's
up.
What's a new, like, brand new one?
A new one. I've actually got a brand new one at my shop. A new one's about $15,000-$16,000.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
So if you buy $500 machine's a kid machine. Yeah. And you're working your way up.
Oh yeah. No doubt. And like I could make money on that alone, bro. Because like I buy the machines used all that because I taught myself how to work on them. Right? So like she had machines. The embroidery coach. That's what I called her. She had machines that, like, if one of them broke, bro, they had to fly somebody from Germany to come over and work. Wow. It was ZSK. They're made in Germany. And thankfully, I had a tech down the road. I had a different brand of machines.
Yeah.
Well, when I would call him to come work on my stuff, I was like over his shoulder the whole time. He was like,
"What are you doing?"
Yeah. He was like, because he's used to people like, just fix it, and I'm gonna be over
You're
here.
a fireman, right?
No,
so you're like,
bro,
give me the tools. Now
show me how this thing works. And now he's befriended me, and he's teaching me everything he knows. And so, dude, I learned how to take them apart and put them back together.
That's so cool.
So then that opened me up to not have to buy them new.
Yeah.
I could just buy them used because I knew even if it's not working right, I can fix it. Right?
I'm the king of eBay. These guys give me shit all the time. Half the lenses, half the stuff. I'm like Mr. eBay.
I'm about to buy a camera, right?
That's and like, always where
no doubt. And I was like, just tell me what you need and let me handle it.
Bingo.
I don't need to know price. I just need to know exactly what you need.
Yeah, I'll find it somewhere.
100%.
Dude, that is so funny.
We should have met earlier in life,
like
bro.
Basically brothers.
Yeah. No
That's
doubt,
awesome.
No doubt.
So, did you actually ask her, or like, how did she fit?
She's there. I'm in this room, and dude, in those days, you could tell. Bro, I'm pulling my hair out. I'm fighting with this embroidery machine. Listen, I'm at my breaking point because I really want to do well with this job, and I'm wearing it, bro. I'm like, I didn't even want to deal with her this day to come buy this.
Like, come get this stupid machine.
Get it out of here.
Yeah.
And dude, she comes in, and just her aura, bro. I don't even know. Like the minute she walked in the room, she lit up, man. Like, and it just took me like I was one of her children, bro.
No way. That's
cool. And which her and her husband were retired, and their kids have left the coop, so to speak, and bro, she just looked me square in the eye. I was telling her about the job, and I was like, I really don't know what I'm doing, and she said, honey, be at my house at 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll get through this.
No way.
Don't know me from Adam, bro.
That's so good.
And dude, from that day forward, I miss her, Miss Lori. I hope you see this. I love you to death. I miss the heck out of you. She moved away about a year ago. She moved to Tennessee.
Dang.
She had a beautiful house on Lake Kiowee, bro.
That's cool.
I loved going over there. She just welcomed me with open arms. She said, you and your wife come over here. You could had a pool room, like pool table. Like, it was so awesome. Fun. But
and
just
taught you how to do it.
And she just coached me, man. Didn't have to.
That's so interesting.
And it was just amazing.
I can't remember what we were talking about a couple weeks ago. We had someone on the podcast, and we were talking about this uncanny willingness for people to want to help firefighters who are starting businesses or they're like, oh, what do you need to know? And it's a funny, I talk about our audience is primarily first responders. There's a broader audience too. But when I think about people that are like thinking about starting a business, the two things that I always think about being most important are, one, ask when you don't know. Like you can always be like you got a lady in the house that's buying a sewing machine. Obviously knows, hey, what do I not know? Do you know about these things? Oh, here's what I'm struggling with. 100%. And then share the story and not like share it to try and wear it on your back like, oh, I'm a fireman. But like, look, if people are willing to help firefighters, I talk about it all the time. Like we're a firefighter in business. Yep. I learned plan backup and backup to the backup. That's the most important lesson I ever learned in the academy. Yeah. And so I teach our team that. But it's like the fire service culture of asking, helping, working, community. 100%. Like that can be explored in business, and that lets business be a tool that firefighters can leverage to do what is good for a community, but also create a lifestyle that's what they want to live.
Absolutely. Corporate America is, I'm telling you, is jealous of us, bro. I work, how many apparel company name drops have I done firefighter-owned businesses? And I just met Get Hosed Apparel. I just met them this past week.
I saw Stacy in because they were down there. She was up in Ocean City with us.
Absolutely. And they come up to my booth, man, and like, corporate America would be like, that's your competitor, bro. Dude, we're like, the dude was trying to give me a radio strap, and I was like, no, I'm buying it. Yeah. Like, you either charge me for it right here, right now, or I'm going to get cash, and I'm leaving it somewhere in your stash when you leave. Like, but that's how it is, bro. Like, it's cool. Dude, it's been an amazing ride. And dude, that's what you just said, right? Like, the willingness for general public to try to help us. Dude, that's why I get so passionate about trying to protect the fire service and its culture.
It keeps the integrity high, right? If someone's willing to help you.
Because if you got everybody that's just, the minute you say firefighter willing to help you and you're shitbag, bro, get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
And you're just doing it for a t-shirt and you're like, get out of here, bro. I ain't got, like, you're just ruining the name for those of us that like give a crap about it. And, like, whatever. I'm getting on a soapbox about that.
It happens. Well, so tell me about this. The business is starting. You've sold your machine. You're buying the next machine. How did you know? I think something that a lot of times I hear folks talking about getting into business, and they're like, man, the machines are it's going to cost me $1 million to buy a laser cutter. And I'm like, well, can you start by outsourcing it? Or can you start by buying a $500 one on eBay? Yeah. How did you figure out what you needed in the timeline?
So my original business partner, love him to death. I'm still in his basement now, which is where our shop is.
Nice.
He had called me, and he was wanting to put some money somewhere. He's huge on saving money, and he just wanted to invest in something. He'd heard about my idea. And listen, this dude was the what they call, like, I call them 1%ers. Like, he was that dude that everybody strives to try to be and impress, and like a good dude though. Like, he was. I mean, this dude was
he a fireman?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He's since gotten out, but so that he approaches me and he's like, "Look, man, if it comes down to you, having to turn down a job because you don't have the equipment, you don't have the funds, whatever, like," he's like, "all I ask is you just call me." So I'm about a couple months into this thing, and like
making them by hand at that point.
Yeah, I'm still cutting them, making them by hand, and my first department order comes, which is Powdersville, FD. Right?
Where's that?
It's in Greenville. It's in Anderson County. It's local. Yeah. It's local, and he's 30 hats, and I'm like, bro, I can't do this on this $500 machine. So I call him up, and I'm like, you told me to call you. Like, it's there, and I need something bigger to make this happen. He met me at a bank, and in a bank parking lot, he handed me $5,000. I went and bought an embroidery machine, drove to Georgia, bought it, came back. Rest is history, man. No way. That's where it started. It took off from there. So a few months after that, I'm working with this machine. Miss Lori comes into the picture, and she sees what I'm doing. She hears the story of the hose and what I'm trying to do, and she sees the process in which I'm doing it, and she's like, honey, we can fix this. And dude, so we go to the drawing board, and because of Miss Lori, the design was honed in.
Oh, really?
I should have brought the example, bro. I've got the very first one I ever made, and compared to what they look like now.
No way.
But
big difference.
Yeah, huge. I mean, dude, we went from having to sit there and cut them out to like, now we cut the patches out. The embroidery file is specific to our patch shape and size, and like it's a well-oiled machine now.
How did you start learning that stuff? I guess Miss Lori would have taught you some.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. She, the process in which we use is called applique. Like,
oh, really?
I never knew that
was a thing.
I had no idea. Like, what is that? What is applique? Applique is how they make patches. It's how they do it. And like, she just took me down the whole line, man, of how to do it, how to shape it, and we're actually back at the drawing board right now. We're actually trying to keep the look and style, but we're trying to minimize the stitch count, right? Because
because the stitch count equate to cost, or is it time, or what's
time? Time. Huh. It's not the cost, it's time. So, dude, like it's start to finish to run one patch is 10 minutes.
And and so then if you extrapolate out for a day, what's a daily capacity?
So that's what I'm saying. Like 10 minutes for a patch, I can run 8 at a time. Do the math.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. I mean, I'm not getting a ton out made in that day, because that's the longest part, is letting the machines run, make them, and then now we got to put them on the hats, right? Like,
so that's not build a whole hat. That's just cut the patch.
We build the patch separate from the hat. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you have like a special jig that, like, do you have to like lay them all out? I'm thinking like I've done CNC
I built my own. Yeah, like I built my own. Like it's
you hold like a loom or something.
I don't want to talk about it.
Don't tell me.
No,
like totally fine.
It's like, again, me and Miss Lori went back to the drawing board and drew out exactly how to lay them a certain way.
Yeah, so you had to create a system. I mean, like, regardless of what the system is, there was like a whole learning.
We built
experience.
A system, and I'm very, very proud to say this. We are right now the only company in the country. We're in beta right now for. So, like, you would come to the website, you would design your patch. What's your engine you ride at your volley?
Engine 18.
All right, so you would come.
Actually, we have some. I think you made some from Mills River.
What department is it?
Mills River Fire Department.
100%. We made it. So, 18. You do 18 engine, right? Yeah. You'd come to our website. Yeah. Because that was the progression. I didn't have a website at the time. Early days. I'm just getting word of mouth stuff. I'm building this thing now. Like, I figured out how to build a website.
Yeah.
Once the website's going, I was like, I got to have a way for the customer to come here and customize this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's no good to you if you can't come. Like, and now you got to email me and like, hey, I want an engine 18 one. Now, we got to cut that out. We're like, I need you coming to the website.
How did you build that out? Because I feel like that's a whole different skill set.
It was. Like, dude, YouTube, bro.
Really?
YouTube, everything. YouTube taught me the early days of how to embroider. Listen. Charlie's over here. He works for me. He knows what my number one rule is.
What's that?
Don't ever tell me you can't do something.
Bingo.
Ever. Bro, we live in a world. It's in our pocket. You can learn how to do it, bro.
I replaced, so it's a funny story. Our AC went out here and it went out of my house. Yep. And I had just freaking spent like $5,000 on these systems. And for some reason, it was 1 year warranty. It was out of the warranty, whatever. Yep. So the guy comes back and quotes me another $5,000. And I'm like, let me just tell you what I'm not going to do. I am not going to spend.
This is not.
I watched you put that system in 30 minutes. I'm not paying you $5,000 to do it again.
That's how businesses start, bro.
So I Google it. The friggin' unit costs $900. I'm like, oh, game time.
Yep.
So I went and got my AC license. Had to go get like EPA, whatever. Right. Do this whole course so I can go buy the dang Freon. I go buy a jug of Freon. I go buy a new outdoor unit.
Yep.
Bring it in, cut the lines. I had to learn how to nitrogen flush. I had to learn how to like braise the solder braise.
Right?
Then I had YouTube on my phone's got a magnet on the back. I YouTube magnet the thing onto the side of the compressor. And I'm like going along, trying with the torch, whatever. Now I burned a few torch tips up and I burned a few pieces up. But by the time that unit's been running for 5 years here and it works great.
I'll let you boy.
Like, that's what I'm
Fraction
saying.
of the cost.
Right? Exactly. It was like I had to invest an hour of time.
100%. And so in business too, man, I know you'll feel this, but like you get to a point where like, yeah, I know I can learn it. Or I can outsource it, right?
Well, and
what do you want to learn? What do you have the capacity for anymore?
Well, in the early days, when it's like time is money, right? So if you've got a lot of time and not a lot of money, guess what? You're learning. And if you got a lot of money, not a lot of time, guess what? It's important to outsource.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we obviously we're figuring out our processes. In the early days, I did work with one of our first admins to build the website and then build the customizer. Okay? Yeah. Issue was, you come to the website, you build your Engine 18 hat. Well, on the back end, I still have to go in and digitize that. I have to make that, right?
So it doesn't send you out a digitized file?
No, not then, okay? So fast forward, meet Miss Lori, ZSK, they have a system where she can go in. She basically simplified it to where we could go in. We're just plugging numbers. It's super quick, and it's laying it out already for the embroidery.
Digitized numbers, like you have your fonts already.
But now we're still having to take your info and put that in, right?
Oh, interesting.
So ZSK, so I start calling Melco because Melco didn't have the format that we.
What do they do?
They're the embroidery manufacturer. So I call Melco and I'm like, what do y'all think about this? Have y'all got anything in the works? Well, at the time, they were working on a software for people like me, right? And they actually had it for Nike. They had it for Adidas. They had it for all these heavy hitting companies, but they hadn't rolled it out to end user like a Shopify store owner, like me as an app. That was 2.5 years ago. So as of 6 months ago, that's how long this thing took, bro. And I waited patiently.
So you didn't actually have to develop software.
No.
You leaned on a partner that could develop software.
Well, I shared with him my need for it. I'm like, bro, I'm doing this every day, and I know it's going to change the course of my business.
Yeah.
So 6 months ago, man, he calls me up and he's like, we're ready. And,
ding.
And because you've waited, it was so cool, man. I'm so thrilled with Melco about this, bro. But like, they called me up after this 2.5 year wait, and they're like, look, bro, we know you've been waiting, and we just wanted to make sure we had it right. But we want you to be the beta. Like we're not rolling it out until you test it. Cool. So they cut the initial fee, which was like it's a pretty big fee to get started with this thing.
Yeah. And
then I've been working with them for 6 months, man. And so now when you come to the website, we overhauled our entire customizer. Now when you build it, it looks exactly like what it's going to look like on the hat. And so when you click purchase, it automatically sends me a file and
you load it in the
straight
machine
to the machine, ready to
roll. No way.
Dude,
that's so cool.
I can't even begin to explain what it's done, at least for my business.
So now you can focus on, instead of the operations of the business, you can focus on growing the business.
Dude, 100%. 100%. Like, I told you when we first come in here, like now I get into the brand identity stuff, like, because I always set out, like, look, I could have called it hosehat.com and just been a gimmick thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I really sought out to be a brand, dude. One of the best books I ever read, if you're ever trying to get into marketing, business as a whole, was Shoe Dog by Philip Knight.
Oh, I've read it.
Right? You've read it? And then the movie just came. Have you seen the movie yet?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen the movie yet. No, I haven't seen that.
Please go watch it.
Is the movie as good as the book?
You'll have a different kind of love for it because you've read the book.
Interesting. Cam read it. Cam was the queen of reading, and then she.
The first time, in the movie, when he looks at one of the characters is going to talk to Philip Knight, and he's like, the guy's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I'm going to talk to the Shoe Dog." And I was like, I read that book, it was crazy. But
that's cool.
I knew, dude, I wanted to follow Philip Knight's foot plan, man. Like this dude set out. I mean, because think about it. When you see that swoosh, there's no more thinking about it. You know it deals with a shoe. You know it, right? And I was like, the fire service needs that, bro. Like, we need a brand that, like, when you see it, when you show up at the conferences and our WB's like hanging up above our, like, okay, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
what's your identity? Like, what does the brand mean to us?
So, like, well, I'll tell you the story behind the name real quick. So West Broad, it opened its doors in 1938. It was the headquarters station of the city of Greenville, and they called it the West Broad Station. It was on West Broad Street. So that's why you see 1938 all over my stuff, all that good stuff.
Oh,
but
that's cool.
The cool thing is, I could take you to the city right now and introduce you to a 40-year guy that worked at that station, bro, because it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. No, it's not there.
That's cool.
And, dude, he's going to light up like it's Christmas. He's got some crazy-ass stories about stuff that, like, I can sit and listen to it for hours, bro. I've done it.
Yeah.
What happens when he's gone, man?
Yeah.
What happens? Like, that story doesn't get told anymore. And, like, it's up to guys like me, us, the ones that care about the job, to, like, just to keep that memory alive. Keep tradition alive, which is our slogan, man. Like, so many traditions that the dude used to tell me about that they would, just some crazy stuff I probably shouldn't talk about. But, like, like things they used to do to guys when they were getting married. And, like, it was just crazy stuff. But, like,
classic fire service, brotherhood type.
Like, I've seen people kind of gawk at, like, or laugh at departments when they get a new truck, they push it in the bay. Bro, that's a tradition. Like, that's some stuff that goes way back, bro, that we got to keep alive. And so that's what I set out to do, man. Like, we're kicking off our YouTube channel this year where we're going to, like, travel out to some departments and get with some guys and just, like, give them some hats. Yeah, like, bro, we just want to hear the story. Like, I'm not here, literally, like, me and you're just sitting here talking. Like, that's all we want. We just want to hear the story of this department.
That's cool.
From the longest serving guy here.
That's cool. Do you know Jeremy from National Fire Radio?
I haven't met them. No.
Oh, really? Oh, Jeremy's cool. He is like, a lot of his focus is apparatus stuff.
Okay.
He's got a channel that they talk about apparatus innovations and that stuff. That's where we know him from. But Jeremy's he's a New Jersey guy, very into preserving the story of the fire service. Because there is so much that it sounds like you guys ought to hook up. I feel like you need PFS.
And I don't want to step on his toes.
No.
But
but it's perfect because his whole philosophy has been, and he was here on the show, I think our second episode he was here. But it's like, it's so important that you do capture those stories, and there's not enough people doing that story capturing to be able to do the whole, the whole retiring set of firefighters whose stories will die with them. So I'm sure you're not stepping on anybody's toes because you need more people out there willing to ask the question, hear the story.
And dude, I don't want to be stuck in a basement making hats, right? Like, because then it's just a business. Then it's just like, we just make some hats, and then I should probably change the name to just hosehat.com because, like, we're not doing. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not really.
Do you own that URL, by the way?
I do.
I was gonna say you should.
Yeah, I do. Trust me, I own it.
Yeah.
If it relates to anything hose and hat that I could scoop up, I scooped it up.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
But yeah, man. So like that's my focus this year, man. Is like really, and it started with the conference. I had to experience that.
First show recently.
First show. Yeah.
Tell me about it,
dude. It was crazy. Like we get out there, we set up, and we took a shirt and a hat, and we wanted to sell hats. So we wanted to try to sell products, and listen, that helps pay for the trip out there. And firemen, I've been to the conferences. Firemen like to buy stuff. So like, So we get there, first one, we set up, and I've got all this, nice little fancy stuff I've bought over the, last few months and setting it up. And first thing we realize, we've got the table where me and Charlie are standing set up right next to the shirt and hat rack. So when people walk up and you can sense they're wanting to shop, they're wanting to look at it, me and Charlie are just like standing there looking at them.
Yeah.
Right? Well, bro, you don't want to walk in Academy and have somebody staring at
you.
Right?
That's the first thing I do was flip that bitch on his back and get rid of it.
And I love this because it blew Charlie's mind. Charlie's, the kid that works with me and came out there and helped me. I was like, we gotta turn this so that our back's to the shirts and hats. And initially he was kind of like, what
are you talking about? Yeah.
I don't know if initially he was like, well, what if somebody steals it? I'm like, yeah,
it's fine.
But it was kind of a crazy idea at first.
Yeah.
And I was like, trust me, we just got to do this, bro. I turned the table, I turned the shirts and hats facing us, and it was like I cut a faucet on.
No way.
We almost sold out.
No way.
Like,
it's funny how I've been doing some training on public speaking, and one of the things they say is own your room, own your environment.
Sure.
If it's not set right, move the tables, move the audience, move the projector, own that space.
We changed.
Trade show booths the same way.
Absolutely. And what kind of prompted me to do it is I'd walk around the corner and I'd look at Get Hosed Apparel, and they're lined up trying to get in there, bro. Now he's selling radio straps and customizing them, and they're badass. I bought one.
That's awesome.
But the way he had it set up is like he's not staring at you while you're sitting there shopping.
Yeah.
He's made it a point to give you the opportunity to talk to him because there's stuff you need to know about the radio strap.
Yeah.
But dude, they're like lined up to talk to him.
I was here on the show too.
Yeah, I know. That's which I follow them on TikTok, man. They got a huge following, and now that I know them. It's awesome, but I was just like, there's a trick to this, man.
Yeah.
So we flipped it, we turned it, it gave those that just wanted to talk to us the opportunity to come up.
Yeah.
Right. And like I told you, I think before the show, it was really cool because one of two things would happen. They'd walk up and they'd be like, okay, what is this? And I'd kind of explain it, or they would walk up and be like, bro, I've seen you on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's like,
dude, that's so
and then
funny.
but it was because of that. I was like, man, we could do more. Like we're there, right?
Dude,
It's time to put the brand out there. Like
that's
we set out to do from the get go, and we did. We've always had this passion to do that.
Yeah.
But bro, you get caught up in the grind, dude. Like when you're having to make the hats and like you're having to.
So what do you do to manage your daily operation capacity? Do you have some employees? Do you do this all yourself, or how's this work?
Yeah, I've got a multitude of teams. Really, I've got I've got an admin side of things. So I've got someone that handles that, like the emails and things like that. We have a team that actually helps us with the manufacturing of the hats because, dude, it literally outgrew what I could handle. It wasn't a matter of like I didn't have enough. I don't know. It really literally got to a point where I just had to make a huge decision on like, I got to get help.
Yeah.
Because if not, dude, I'm spending 80 hours in a basement trying to make, because the demand is there, bro. Like, and I'm very, very, very thankful. But dude, in some of those not too long ago times, dude, I felt like all my life was sitting behind an embroidery machine.
Yeah.
And dude, there's no enjoyment in that because, like, that's where you get to those points in business where you're like, is this worth it, bro?
Yeah.
Like, is it? Yeah, like people think I'm making money and like,
at what cost?
Yeah,
if it's
like,
80 hours a week
dude,
by yourself in a basement, that's not worth it.
What I'm very thankful for, and it's so awesome, dude, when you start getting to this point in business, is when you start learning how to balance that, right? And sometimes it requires outsourcing.
Was there an aha moment that you said, I gotta...
Yeah, 100%. The aha moment was like, I don't know that I can do this much longer. That was it. Like, it was like, I've either got to fix this, right? And guess where that mindset came from? The fire service.
Yeah.
You get on the fire scene and it's like, bro, I got to fix this situation.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow,
it starts deteriorating, shit's falling apart, and it's like,
it's
all right.
thinking on your toes, bro. Like, how can I help this situation? Because this isn't good for me. This really isn't good for my family, me being away from home this much. Like, what do I got to do here? I got something that people like, because I can't just cut it off, like, because people want it. Yeah. Sales are still coming in, you know, like.
What was your first hire?
First hire was a shop was Eric, man. I needed help in the shop, and I was like, I think it's time to hire my first employee. And he was actually working for a guy on the side making like, I don't know, $12 an hour at a machine shop.
So you found a fireman?
Oh, dude, I literally looked at it and I was just like, yeah. And I wanted it to be somebody I knew I could stand to be around all day, right? That's important.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted somebody that would work. Like, this dude was working his butt off in a machine shop for $12 an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I need this guy. So I went to him and I was like, bro, I'll give you $15 an hour. Right. And then more will come as this thing grows. And it did. Like, I tried to get him up there making some good money.
Yeah.
And he worked his butt off for me, man. That's the thing too about firefighters and owning a business, man. We've got an endless pool of good workers to pull from, bro. Like, if you need it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no, like, where corporate America's out here, like, I can't hire nobody and like I can't keep employees, bro. We got them. You just gotta take care of them. There's no way I'd ever expect a fireman to come work for me for less than what I know he could go make somewhere else.
Yeah,
you know, because then at that point it's like, and when they're there, like I'm always like trying to, like, man, like go on your own. Like, is there something I can help you get started?
Yeah,
or, you know. And so like I have my first speaking engagement Saturday.
No way. What are you doing?
It's about, I call it the firefighter entrepreneur. It's about that mindset, man. Like,
really?
Yeah, like, bro.
Who are you talking to?
So it's a conference. It's a county conference in Abbeville, South Carolina. They do a yearly like county conference where they just bring in surrounding counties. It's nothing huge, but they bring in surrounding counties and they just try to do like a mini conference, right? The morning is cool. Like classroom stuff, and then they go after lunch and do some hot classes, get some training, get some reps in.
Oh, really?
It's really cool, man. And so I've been wanting to show up at these conferences and give something to the fire service. Like, you've been to a lot of these. You've been to FDIC. You've been how many conferences, be honest with me, have you been to that you have the opportunity to go take an hour seminar class on what you do with your days off as a full-time fireman? I don't know of any. There may be some out there. I don't know. But I looked high and low.
Yeah.
But, you know, so that I knew I could say that and it not be a lie. Like, but you can go take one on standpipes at every conference.
That's a
you can go take
point.
one on, and not knocking on that though. Like, there's dudes that are really, really good at standpipe, and we need those people out here showing like, hey man, this is what I learned about standpipes this whole year.
Yeah.
I'm not just coming back talking about the same old thing. Standpipes, like. So for me,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Well, so for me, that is. Listen, I'm not the best guy at training you how to force a door or whatever. Like, I do pride myself in being a good fireman. I know how to do the job, but I'm not out there. I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
right?
I know exactly who that guy is.
What I am though is I know about business. You know, no, I don't have my MBA. I didn't go to college for it, but bro, I'm telling you, I figured it out.
Yeah,
and the thing that I'm passionate about is like, bro, I want to break the stigma of firemen are broke. I want it eradicated, bro.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be.
No,
This is harsh, but this is I speak this. I have zero sympathy for a broke fireman. Zero. Because they have the same opportunity, bro. They got the same 48 hours or now 96 hours because everybody's making that shift, 48, 96.
Yeah.
To go get it, bro. Go get it.
That's exactly right. I think all the time, like, people whine about, oh, you make $10 an hour. I work part-time on an ambulance.
Gotcha.
And like, oh, I don't make $10 an hour. And I'm like,
you still do today?
2 nights a month. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the whole world.
That's what's up, bro. Look, listen,
I love it.
And I mean this respectfully and not cocky. I don't have to be a full-time fireman right now, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So go ahead.
Wasn't. Yeah. I could never survive.
That's what's up,
But
dude.
what's so funny is like when people say, "Oh," I'm like, "Dude, you have a full-time support network. You have benefits. You have insurance. You have a full-time job with as much overtime as you want, and you have so much. Do 2 shift trades, and you got 2 weeks off.
Bro.
What business do you want to start?
Bro, let me give you my run. All right, so 6 months. I quit the city, right, and I'm like, I'm gonna go run my business.
Yeah.
That's when I get into the automation of things and like I die down the workload that I have. I die it down. And so before I know it, I'm just like sitting around in the room. Like my wife starts coming home to a clean house, folded clothes. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I literally, dude, at that 6 month mark, I was like, I gotta get back around people, bro.
Yeah.
I gotta. This just is not making sense. And the problem was when I decided to leave the city. I'll be honest with you. I was looking at West Broad to try to replace my salary because listen, Greenville City is one of the highest paid departments in South Carolina.
Yeah,
you can make damn good
especially
money.
Add overtime on top. It's
dang good money being a fireman out there. To all my boys at the city, y'all making it, bro. I get it. But I was looking at the business. How can I replace this? Which was the totally wrong attitude, right? And listen, there were morale issues at there. Every department deals with it.
Sure,
a little bit more than others, maybe. And that was just it was a helping factor.
And making
to drive the decision.
Sure.
Okay, I'm not gonna deny that. But bro, after that 6-month mark, I was like, this was stupid. This was dumb. Like I should have never done this.
Did you miss it?
100%, bro.
No.
Think about it, dude. Like, I mean, as a 35-year-old man, right? How many, if you didn't have the fire service or even if you didn't have like employees like you do, like how many people honestly can you you pick up your phone and call them, you need them, or just call to talk and shoot crap, bro.
Yeah.
Like just call and talk with somebody for an hour. Not a lot of people our age have that anymore. That was your high school days.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
and that is the fire service.
Yes, sir.
Man, that is
100, bro.
Like,
yeah. Like
sit around the fire station and shoot the breeze. Like,
dude, are you kidding me?
I was over at our little local volunteer station the night. I'm like, my wife's out of town.
Yeah.
She's in Italy this week, and so I'm over there. Like, I got the dog. I'm like, whatever. We'll go to the fire station. So I go sit down, and the guys are in there, and they're they're cooking Spam, and like, okay, I'd never grown up around eating Spam. And they're like. They show. I'm like, what the hell is that?
What is this?
I'm not gonna eat that shit. That's disgusting. Like, no, man, it's a delicacy. I'm like, no, I'm not eating pig eyeballs and buttholes. You can have that.
No,
and they're like, no, it's good. So I'm like, come on. So we sit there, we shoot the breezer, giving it, revving on everybody. They make me a damn fried Spam sandwich. I was surprised. I was expecting to hate it, and I hated it so much.
Did they put
less
mayonnaise
than I
on it for you?
They did bread, Spam. I have no idea what they put on it. I ate the whole thing.
They hooked it up with mayo.
And it was really good. And I'll tell you what, though, the story wasn't about friggin' eating a Spam sandwich. It was hanging out with my buddies over at the fire station.
Absolutely.
It's like, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
And if the alarm would have gone off, we would have done the job. But 90% of the time, you're sitting there shooting the breeze, having a great time.
No doubt. I'll say this. I'm going to put this out there. Like, if you're a department, because I talk to a lot of departments all over the country, man, and like everybody's dealing with it. Everybody's dealing with morale issues.
Yeah.
And a lot of these old head chiefs don't really know like what's going on, like how to deal with it. So for me, I'm speaking to the line officers, the lieutenants, the captains, the dudes that have direct reflection and direct impact on how your guys' day goes.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I can't wait when I interview for lieutenant because I'm going to be a lieutenant before it's over. I know I was put on this earth to be a leader. I could give two craps less about the bugles, right? Yeah. When they ask me why I want to be a lieutenant, I'm going to tell you why. Because every day I want my goal to be the guys that are working with me, not for me. Guys don't work for me, they work with me.
Yeah.
Every day, when they wake up the day before they come on shift, I want them looking forward to it, bro. Like, I want them, like, you know what I'm saying? And listen, these lieutenants, bro, like, you have direct reflection of that, bro. Like, make sure your dudes are having a good time. If they're having a good time and they're loving what they're doing, loving life, and you're not this dude that's just like, you're so scared of what the chief's going to think that you got to do this and you got to, like, you're a robot. You're a robot, bro. Quit being a robot. Like, if you got enough head about you, like, make sure your boys are having fun. I love it, bro. Like it was the best decision I've made, really, in my life to go back. Even my wife was like, you know.
So are you back working?
I did. So after 6 months, I was like, all right, I got to get back in, right? And I don't have to, but I got to.
Yeah.
Mentally, I got to. I lost touch of the business a little bit too, bro. Like, cause I started this business around firemen, around the fire service, and so I was just like, I got to get back, okay, But I didn't know if I wanted to go back to the city. You know, just be honest. And the department that sent me to Fire Academy, Belmont, it was like home to me, man. And I'd quit on my chief once before, and I was like, they had a position.
Your pride and calling back. Yeah.
It's a smaller department, you know, way smaller. They only have 3 full-time guys a day, 9 total. Like, a spot at that place doesn't come around too often. And so a spot comes up. It was perfect storm. Like, I'm already considering it, and I was like, let me try this. Let's see what he'll say. So I send it. I don't tell anyone other than my wife. Send in the application. Hit send. So literally 30 minutes goes by. Tony Seegers, the chief, calls me. He's like, "Hey man, I think somebody hacked your email." I was like, "Oh yeah?" He's like, "Yeah, somebody just sent a fake application in with your name on it." And I was like, "Yeah, I get it, you know, whatever." And then, but dude, he's like, "Come see me this week. We'll talk."
That's awesome.
Been back a year now, man.
No
love
way.
it. Freaking love it, cool. Bro. Like because I always knew like, man, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, you know, this is too fun, man. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that, bro.
I couldn't hang it up when I saw our local county on the news, like, hey, we're dying for manpower. Everyone quit during COVID. I'm like,
bro, I love that you've got all this and you're still doing that part time. That gets me fired up,
I wouldn't trade that for the world.
And so that's exactly what I'm trying to push out here, bro. Like, that's what I'm speaking on Saturday.
Yeah, so tell me about this thing you got.
Yeah,
I'm so excited about this.
I actually own this domain as well. I really do want to put a book out there, man. Like I'm working on it. Listen, I'm a redneck from Pelzer, right? And here I am talking about trying to write a book. And I'm proud to be from Pelzer. Like, I'm a country boy, and like, you know, I had a good upbringing out there, but I didn't pay attention in high school. You know, I didn't have the smarts to get into college. But I'll never forget, a friend of mine told me one time, she looked at me, she just wrote her book, and she said, Russell, every human being has a book in them. And that, like, it hit me, bro. I was like, I got one in me. I do. I feel like I do. So I'm trying to get ChatGPT to try to help me write a book. And but
you gotta do it with your hands, man.
But it will be. It'll be called the Firefighter Entrepreneur.
No way. Oh my God. I want to get involved in whatever you're doing.
That's
so
cool. But I want to. This is my stepping stone for being able to take this presentation to, you know, the Myrtle Beach conference next year. The FDIC, bro. I'd love for FDIC to call me and be like, Brandon, can you come speak at this? Because like I mean, some of these dudes are out here getting paid to go to these conferences, man. Not that I don't care about the money, but like.
What do you got? So you got this engagement coming up. So what are you going to be talking about, and what's your story?
It's the Firefighter Entrepreneur. It's going to have a little bit of this. It's going to have. It's going to revolve around West Broad, obviously. My goal. That's going to be one of the first things I say is like, look, I'm not here to sell you hats. Yeah. I'm just here to tell you my story, and you're obviously, if you're sitting here, you're a fireman, whether it's paid, volunteer, whatever. I'm going to show you how this can work. Like, bro, you were silly. If you need the extra money, if you don't need the extra money, work as a fireman and enjoy your days off, go play golf or something. Like, bro, I started West Broad to fund my fishing habit.
Yeah.
I was tired of my wife getting on my back about the money I'd spent on fishing rods. My fishing habit has now turned into my golf habit. And that's all I need West Broad to do. Like, it's just my fun things I love to do, right? So whatever that is in your life that you need additional funds for, bro, there's a way to do it. You don't have to rethink the wheel like me, right? Like, even if it's cutting grass, if that is your next thing, which is very, very doable.
Yeah.
How can you be different? Dude, how many apparel companies are out there in the fire service? Like, there's tons, right?
Yeah.
My goal was how can I be different? How can I offer something different? And
how do you prep to deliver that message? I mean, we've been doing a lot of speech prepping here, man. One of my favorite things in the world is public speaking. So it's like, I hear this and I'm zeroing in. Like,
I haven't done it. And so that's why I'm doing this Saturday. Tim, the guy that's over it, was just, I talked to him at the conference and I was like, bro, I need kind of I hate to say it this way, but I was like, I need a guinea pig for this. Like, and I need a practice at it. He's like, dude, you know our conference is happening Saturday, right? I was like, can I come speak at it? And he's like, what time you need? You're done. Like, it was cool. More than eager, bro. And I was like, this is awesome.
It's this Saturday?
It's this Saturday, yeah. So this Saturday, Abbeville, I don't know if it's too late to sign up for their conference, but he gave me the very first spot. I'm the first one speaking. And then I get to be on their round table with like a Coney County chief's going to be, like, I think it's some chief officers.
Yeah.
Which is cool because I want to be the guy sitting at the table that's not a chief and ask the questions that, like, I know the guys want answered. Like, one, for instance, and this is what I'm coming out the gate with, 4896, are you for it or against it? And if you're either one, tell me why, right?
Yeah.
Because it's such a hot topic right now, bro.
Everybody's talking about it.
We're going July 7th. We start 4896, bro. Dude, and if you are a fire chief, I'm telling you, and your guys are talking about it and you're shooting it down, you are the problem with the fire service. Wholehearted. I'm telling you. You cannot convince me that is not the greatest.
What's it matter if the guys want to do it? They just want to do it. Who cares?
You're bettering their life. They're home more. It gives them plenty of opportunity to run their business.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, bro! If you're a fire chief and you're not getting on board with it, retire, get out.
That's so funny.
Because I've heard both sides of that angle, right? I've heard the younger crowd that's like, which it's the younger crowd that's pushing for it, and then the older crowds just like see it one way.
Yeah.
And they're not wanting to look at, like, bro, the younger crowd, they have realized how important their time is.
Oh yeah.
That's the problem with the workforce in America right now, is they know that with a computer now they can sit at home and make $40,000 instead of coming up here listening to you I hate to say this, but you're probably the dude that was getting put in trash cans in high school, and now that somebody's giving you a title, and you're ruining it, bro. You're just abusing it. Yeah. And so but they're smart, man. I know, time is everything, and it's your opportunity to give it to them.
You know what I think is funny is
you might have to change the name of your podcast though, bro. I'm sorry.
Hey, I know. In our shift schedule, we had Kelly days. We were on this crazy shift schedule forever, and it was fine, But as we looked at it, this was the most popular when we were researching it. But now everyone's going 4896.
Yeah,
it's a big deal.
It's everywhere. So I'll be able to sit in on a round table with that. That's cool. I think that's going to be pretty cool. But no, man, I built a PowerPoint night before last. I stayed up late on shift and made a PowerPoint.
No way.
I mean, it's the first one, and I can only grow from there. So that.
Have you rehearsed it with anyone?
This right now, kind of. I mean, dude, that's what I plan to do is just go talk.
That's gonna be so good.
Anybody that knows me knows I can talk, bro.
There's nothing in the world I get more excited about than people teaching firefighters about business. The whole reason this podcast exists, what do you do in your 48, is the question I like to ask, because the 48 is the time for you to build your business and design your future.
100%.
That's the whole thing.
100%. So,
that's cool. How do you get comfortable getting in front of a stage? I think because the big thing I find firefighters get so comfortable in the station with their 4 or 5 shift mates that they forget how to talk to people.
So I agree with that, right? And I tried on a smaller level to do a public speaking thing one time. It's probably been 2 years ago. My buddy had a business. It was called Fueled in Greenville. It was for business owners. And, he tried to have a speaker come in every week, and he just approached me and was like, can you speak on a topic? And I was like, yeah, I can do it. And so what I spoke on was, other than the Holy Bible, it's probably one of the most important books to me in my life, which is Extreme Ownership by John.
Oh, yeah. It's sitting on my desk right now.
If you're out there and you haven't read it, you're doing yourself a disjustice.
That's awesome.
I'll never forget the first time that book got given to me. It was my original business partner. He was talking this book up to me, and I looked down and I was like, bro, do you work for him?
Yeah.
And he looked me in the eye and he said, look, I'll buy you the book if you read the first 4 chapters and you get nothing out of it. He said, I'll give you $500.
All right,
bro,
sounds like a fair deal.
Chapter 1, I'm like,
hooked,
oh my
right?
God. I was like, this is, it changed my life.
It makes you think about yourself in a whole different light.
Dude, changed my life. So I'm passionate about this book. I was like, let me go speak on it. So I go up there and I made myself notes, which I don't like. Public speaking, bro, I relate this to pastors, right? Pastors public speak every week. I'm not a fan of that guy that has to be tied to a piece of paper. Right? If you can't flow, if you're not passionate enough about what you're talking about, that you got to have a piece of paper, right? And I just did it because I thought that's what you do. I put it on a piece of paper and I follow this. And, dude, it was awful. I hated it, bro. And one reason, here's one of my biggest, these were business owners, right? They didn't know me. Dude, firemen, we can go sit at a table. Look at us, bro. I feel like we're doing a kick-ass job on this podcast. But it's because we relate, right? And I can be myself, and I can it's no shame in the game, just like the kitchen table at the firehouse.
It's all storytelling. I mean, that's the biggest thing I've learned about in public speaking is if it's not the PowerPoint. I'm actually reading a book right now called Real Leaders Don't Do PowerPoint. But I'm the king of PowerPoint. This year at Christmas.
Death by PowerPoint.
Dude.
Death by PowerPoint.
So our team gave me this mock certificate that says from Microsoft, you've given more PowerPoint presentations than any other user in the entire world.
Hey, got you.
And I'm like, shit. So then I've got this new mentor I'm working with, and he's like, hey, I want you to read this book. And this book's called Real Leaders Don't Do PowerPoint. And I'm like, fuck, man. I love my wife. I love God, my wife, PowerPoint, everything else. Yeah. I'm like, how? What?
You're that guy.
But then I'm going through this book, and it has nothing to do with PowerPoint.
Why do you love it? Do you do your PowerPoints have notes you're reading off of?
No, absolutely not. No. And the funny thing was, I was so worried that's what it was going to tell me is get rid of the whole deck. And what it was talking about was, hey, use storytelling in your storytelling is key. So when I use PowerPoint, I used to watch Dave Ramsey was a big mentor, and not mentor personally, but his whole org. Yeah. And as I watched his personalities deliver their messages, I saw Jocko speak at one of his events.
Ooh.
But when they deliver a message, that PowerPoint is just jewelry for their set. It's one word. It's one picture.
Yep.
And so I use it all the time with very, very minimal, a photo, a word, or whatever.
Yep.
But as I'm reading this book, I was like, the book talks about storytelling is key, and it can't be someone else's story. You got to tell the story from your perspective, walk it through, and don't just, read your slides. Yeah. So as I've been kind of like working through this whole thing, it's like thinking through how firefighters deliver stories at the kitchen table every day of the week.
Every day.
And then they get up and deliver the worst presentations in all history. And then it's like, why do they do that? Well, because they forget that it's just storytelling. It's a kitchen table with an audience.
And like, especially with the classes, right? Like, that's why we call it Death by PowerPoint, because what is all your classes you're going to go sit and take? It's somebody reading off a PowerPoint.
It's and listen, bad.
Some college-educated, way more sophisticated than most of us firemen wrote the book and the PowerPoint that you're delivering for a class. And, dude, that makes it so hard. Because, like, you're reading the PowerPoint going, oh, well, I didn't know that. Like, you're teaching yourself, and then it just gets boring.
I can read the notes in my own time, but if I get an instructor that's lived it, and they get up and say, listen, man, let me tell you about cutting a roof. I almost killed myself because I wasn't paying attention, and I cut between the joists, and I was standing on the damn piece of wood when I did 100%. It. And then that, I can picture that. It's like, when you're sounding it, and all of a sudden you feel like whatever, oh, that's a problem. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like you're about to die. So don't fuck up and do that. It's like, versus, make sure you're standing appropriately this way, and that your cutting guard is in this. Get out of here. No one cares. I'm not reading that. Tell me the story of what it's like to do it. I can picture it, and I'll go read the PowerPoint myself.
And I'll do it, And so with that, like, and I was trying to relate, Jocko's principles and stuff to business. And, bro, at this time, I'm still trying to figure out business myself. Who am I to be telling these people, right?
But
like,
you've got your own story. You've been a fireman. You've experienced what it's like to have
dude,
that sort
you know
of thing.
what? Like, when I did that presentation, the first one, I didn't even tell my story. Like, I didn't,
really?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even have a chance to get passionate. So, dude, I'm super excited about Saturday.
Oh, I can't
Here's
wait.
what I did on my PowerPoint, though. I did a couple of slides. Like, one slide, I gave the bullet points of, like, kind of what I'm going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Which now you got me thinking about going and taking that out. But
we should sit down and go through it together.
I'll show it to you before I leave. The majority, though, like the big slide is literally just pictures of things. Like, I've got the first hat I ever made on it. I've got one of the coolest things that has happened to me in this business was when my hat landed on an FDNY dude. It's like hearing your song on the radio. Like, that's cool. What I'm going to talk about it.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I love that.
Dude,
that's the thing. When you can tell the story, when you tell that story, which, by the way, I'm not going to let you get out of here without telling how the first hat landed on FDNY.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But when I think about, like, that's how I use PowerPoint. I love it. When you throw the picture up and you're like, let me just tell you about this. This is the way it made me feel when this happened, and you walk your audience through it. That audience is hooked, you know?
And even the lows, like, be straight up with them. Like, look, you're going to get to a point in business where you're wondering if you hate it. Like, you literally go to sleep at night going, I think I hate my business. And, dude, you know how there's a stigma in business, 2-year mark. If you don't make it past that 2-year mark, you're not going to be successful, whatever. When we got to that 2-year mark, I saw exactly why they say that and exactly what they were talking about. Because if you've got a successful enough business to make it to that 2-year mark, you're in a position to where you got to make a decision. I got to shift how this works, right? It's not working like this. We still got sales, but this is like ruining my life.
Yeah.
Or, you make your decision and you figure it out. And that's exactly what I did.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. That's all the Marine Corps
try to figure it out. And I didn't figure it out all on my own. I met some really great contacts that helped me along the way.
Yeah.
Which you got to do. Like, bro, I just taught this to Charlie. Charlie, I took him golfing for his first time ever at the conference at the beach. Get this, bro. I've been playing a while. I've been playing pretty good. I'm just a 15 handicap, but I've been trying to better my game.
Yeah.
This kid, first time on the golf course, hits a shot over my head from 120 yards out. Over my head now. Nails it in the hole. I've never hit a shot from 120 out. And I was like, I'm going home. I'm done.
Yeah.
But that day we met 2 millionaires on the golf course.
That's awesome.
And that's what I told Charlie. I was like, look, I do play golf because I enjoy it and love it, but, bro, you wouldn't believe the people I've met.
Bingo.
People you would never think. You're not just going to meet a millionaire walking around at McDonald's, or one's going to come walking in the fire station.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's all about contacts and just, dude, we all have it in us to do it. If you've made it to the level of, you're off probation as a firefighter, whatever, like you're doing the job. Somebody has said, hey, this guy knows how to be a fireman.
Yep.
Bro, you've got it in it to run a business, in you to run a business.
I love that.
Zero doubt.
That's so cool.
So I'd love to eventually get to like a realm where I'm like consulting.
Yeah.
Firemen that want to do that, because they just need somebody to show them. Like, dude, I literally just did it with Charlie, bro. Charlie's a 17-year-old kid that works for me. We just launched his business 3 months ago.
That's awesome.
And all I'm doing is he's kind of my guinea pig to like make sure like, you know, what I am doing works or whatever. Yeah. And bro, like his first 3 months, he's had more sales than we had in our first year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like, it's a repeatable process, and all I've done for him is like, I've given him just enough information to where he knows what he's doing, like a little bit, but he's got to go find the rest of the info.
Yeah.
You don't learn with just somebody standing over you going like, here you go. No, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to look for the results, and then you got to put it to action.
I love that, man. That's so cool. So, all right, I got to hear the story. So, biggest high in your career, you said, was when one of your hats landed on FDNY fireman's head. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm at work at the time one day, and I start getting a couple of messages. At the time, we were doing something, so I didn't get to check my phone right away. And I open it up, and it's this picture of because, you know, FDNY's got photographers that follow them, in which South Carolina guys has an awesome one called Chance Craven that follows him around. That is a magician with a camera. If you don't know about him, look him up. Awesome dude. But they snapped this dude. I don't know him from Adam, but it's plain as day. FDNY, he's on a job, and it's a plain as day hose hat. And I'm like, because I always wondered. Listen, I was a little self-conscious about like, all right, is my hat too gimmicky?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, is it a wanker thing? Is it, you know? Because I don't. My first goal was always I wanted my hats on those dudes. I wanted it on 1%ers. I wanted it on the dudes that gave two shits about the job.
Yeah.
And so, dude, for me, it was just it was gratification that
That's
like
cool.
What I got something.
Someone
like,
who matters.
If these dudes would put it on their head, and so now, dude, it's. I mean, Phoenix got them. I've landed on some Boston dudes. I've worked with 555 Pip up in New Jersey. Like, dude, I never would have dreamed that this little idea I had that started in a bedroom in my house. We're in all 50 states, Canada. I've sent them overseas. I've it's been a ride, bro. It has been a ride. And so.
Well, what's next? I mean, there's got to be a big plan or something. I mean, you're starting to go to shows.
I'll tell you one of the things. We literally had a meeting about it yesterday, and I'm super stoked about it. And I'd kind of like to gauge your interest on it, man. I'd like to just maybe see what thoughts are on it. But we're doing it either way. But, you know, we offer shirts and like one-off hats and stuff. And in the early days, I was like, let's just get shirts out there to get shirts out there. So we'd throw thin red line stuff out there just because it's hard, dude. It's hard to break out and like be your own thing. Like, so, dude, I literally landed yesterday. I say landed. One of my best friends, love the dude. It was a fire. Like, the dude can draw, bro. Like, just the stuff he sends me and Charlie of just him, this doodling, bro. But it's his outlet.
Yeah.
I literally, and he has sent me shirt ideas before and was like, here, clean them up and blah, blah, blah. And I look at it and I'm like, hell no, put it on a shirt, bro. Like,
send it out the road.
That's it. Like, that's our identity. There's nobody going to one off it because, bro, it was in your brain. You put it to electronic paper and you sent it to me. And, bro, I firmly, wholeheartedly believe that is 100% going to be our identity. Like,
that's cool.
We're putting stuff out there like that. Because this dude draws the stuff that, like, we all think. You know? Like, we all wish we could put to paper and put on a shirt.
It takes some skills, man.
So that's honestly one of the biggest things I've got in front of me right now is, like, you know, I want to do a shirt club, and I want it to be as authentic as it gets.
That's cool.
Super authentic, you know. So
yeah. Well, where can people find more about you, your brand, your online presence?
So at West Broad Apparel on all, you know, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. westbroadapparel.com is where you can go and start customizing your hat right here and right now. Awesome. Check out our new customizer on there, and that's it, man. We're just trying to do big things.
Awesome. Well, Russell, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show, man. This has been a lot of fun.
I'm glad we finally got to meet, man. I feel like I knew you already from TikTok, though.
That's awesome. So good.
Yeah.
Well, cheers. Have a good one, man.
All
Thanks.
Right, thanks, dude.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. If you want to be on the show or you know someone who should, head over to the2448.com and submit your business. Don't forget to follow and subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. If you thought it was 4 stars, still give us 5 stars or I will find you. See you next time. Later.